Hello.
Hello.
Hi and welcome out there. This is Evo Haining, and I am joined today by Jenka Gurfinkel. Hi, great to see
Hello.
you.
Hi.
Where are you joining us today?
From Boston.
Excellent. So, those of you who I have known for ages may have met Jenka out in the world of human experience design and in both wellness, but also we met originally through events. And I know that this is a big soup of event space. But I wanted to talk to you specifically today because of the wellness and wholeness events that you've been creating, experiences that are designed to help connect us to ourselves and each other. So I was hoping that we could talk a little bit about your work as both a designer and now as a creator of a new product. And I'm going to bring up Spa X Home. And I'm wondering if you could just walk us through a little bit of what we're going to take a look at today at Spa X Home.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. This is a very interesting conversation to be having. So by day, I am a experienced designer at Athena Health. We make healthcare technology software for, the doctors use, patients use, and for my quarantine birthday, this is back in June 2020, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do for my birthday. I didn't want to do one of the, like the Zoom birthday that everybody was having. This is kind of a bizarre story, but I was on like one of the first like Zoom birthdays. It actually made the cover of like San Francisco Chronicle. That it was like, oh, it's like pandemic weekend one. This thing people are doing now, Zoom birthdays. So this was like beginning of March, and I knew I didn't want to do that. So I was thinking about what I wanted to do for my birthday. And what I realized was that I wanted to have, like, I was just missing something on the calendar to be able to look forward to. Because every day and every weekend was just like, this was, early summer 2020, everything was just like blurring together.
Right.
And I thought of like, what would I want to have on a calendar for people to look forward to? And I came up with this idea of doing a spa day, like a spa hour that everybody could do at home together. And I have family and friends all over the world. I used to live in California. I currently live on the East Coast. I have family in Israel. I have friends in Europe. And, I wanted something that everybody could do very easily together. And so I came up with this idea of this guided spa experience that, at the allotted time, the spa begins and everybody goes through this spa itinerary that, people from across, I've had, 5-6 time zones all do together.
This is amazing. So it is a digitally guided physical at-home experience. It's not a virtual experience. You are actually physically doing these things together in real time together. But It's not about what's happening on the device. It's about what you're doing physically. Is that right? Can you guide me through and tell me a little bit about what's happening at home? Like, what are they doing?
Yeah. So I tend to not want to call it a virtual spa because like, I don't actually know what a virtual spa would even really be. Like you have to like physically experience, what is actually happening. So I call it, yes, like digitally guided in the sense that there is a guide and that is the digital part. And in terms of what it guides you through, so there's a breathing exercise, there's a pressure point massage, there's a hot towel treatment, a face mask, and a guided meditation. And there's other, and throughout the whole thing, it's all based on kind of everyday household essentials. So for the the face mask, we use honey. It's been used as a skincare product for literally thousands of years, as well as things like olive oil and aloe. These are all kind of things that people have used for thousands of years, really, as beauty and skincare products. And so I wanted it to be something that was very easily accessible for people, that, you know, you were going to be bound to have these kinds of things in your house already and be able to participate. You didn't need to buy anything super fancy or extra, you know, to be able to be part of it.
Right. So I remember I got to do the birthday party at the beginning when you first started the concept, and it was a honey mask, which was great. I hadn't done that before, you know. And so some of these things like putting cucumber on the eyes or using aloe, we associate with going to a spa or getting a facial or something. And then other things like just lighting a candle are something that we could do at home, sort of creating that ritual almost anytime.
Yeah.
So it seems like you've combined the sort of everyday self-care ritual with something that's more structured. And I guess what are people discovering, and who is discovering it? Where are people at with that process?
Yeah, this is a really interesting question. So in the beginning, the first one was just my birthday party, and like you were there. And so it was just, you know, people that I invited that I would have wanted to be at my birthday. And from that, you know, I had the responses that I got, and these are actually just like, I took like some screenshots of, these are from my birthday, from after my birthday, as well as after other spas that I've done since. And just the kinds of feedback that I would get after just made me feel so good to get these kinds of messages. And then people actually were like, after my birthday, people were like, okay, when are you going to do another one? And I was like, you know, I hadn't even thought about doing another one. But basically within a few weeks, I had people that were like, friends of mine that were like, no, you really need to do another one. Like, I need another spa X home or spa at home. And this was actually before it had a name. They're just like, I need another spa. And so originally it started off with just people that like I wanted to invite to my birthday. But then what I really found is, you know, we're all very much in this space right now where the typical kinds of things like that you would do to maintain a relationship with somebody, like even your parents, you know, their parents call you and they're like, oh, like what did you do? And you can tell them something that you've done. And like, there isn't anything like that. And also there isn't anything to like, it's very difficult to find something to like do with people so that then later you can be like, oh, remember that time we did that thing? That like, there is none of that. Right. And so what I found is that people really gravitate to it as, because the spa, you know, and I say this is not one of those things where you're supposed to sit and stare at the screen for an hour. And it isn't. Like, everybody turns off their cameras, everybody's muted. And, you know, as you're guided through the experience, it's a spa. Like, you're not going to a spa in order to sit in front of a screen. So what comes out of that, though, is that then afterwards people have something that they've done together with their friends or with their family. To your question of like, who has done it. So a really popular kind of way that people have done it is mothers and daughters and sisters across continents. People have done it for birthday parties beyond just mine. People have done it as, I've had people give it as a gift. So somebody gave it as a Christmas present for his wife and mother-in-law. I've had people do it as like holiday parties in lieu of, you know, the typical kind of like office holiday party that you would have in the normal times. People, you know, have this kind of like relaxing experience. And, you know, as I was saying, the kind of the on the other side of that experience, you now have something that you've done together that you can actually discuss after and have that, like, it's a shared experience that you still are able to talk about as a thing you've done together.
I Loved that framing of a shared experience that is multisensory, that is indulging something that's very maybe playful, but also not something we often give ourselves, right? Like an extra hour to just pamper our bodies, much less doing that with other people. Like I think we talked a little bit about the ritual of the Korean spa.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that's one of the things I've missed most this year is being able to go to a place and steam or soak or just be in that environment of wholeness and healing. And I'm very curious as we talk about this sort of hybrid approach to design, where you're thinking about the physicality of oils, right? Of honey and things that are to be smeared on the body. And you're combining it with this sort of digital experience, right? This guided. I'm
Mm-hmm.
curious about what you're discovering about the hybrid experience design. Like what's working in those kinds of environments. And like I noticed you made the choice to design, responsively for both mobile, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
tablet or phone, things like that. What are you learning in this process?
Yeah, so it's a really you bring up a really interesting like aspect of how I approached the way that the actual guided content is presented. So it's a it's the screen is shared, so it's essentially a slide, and you can look at it on your computer, and it's the sort of like widescreen aspect ratio of your computer if you're looking at it that way, but the actual content itself is formatted to the form factor of a phone, so that you can essentially, if you're looking at this on a phone, all you have to do is like zoom out, and it fills up your entire phone. So you can, because the process of the spa, it involves, you need to use your kitchen, or at least, you need to use a faucet, you need to get water. So you're moving around, you're like getting the hot towel, you're heating it up. You're moving around as you do it, and the intent is not for you to be sitting the whole time, like at all. So it was really thinking about, as people are moving through their space, do they want to lug their computer around, or do they want to join on their phone and just be able to basically have the phone, essentially kind of like almost like when you're following a recipe online or something, you're looking at your phone and you're like, okay, cool, I got this and this ingredient, and then you put it down and you do the actual cooking. And I actually think that's a really kind of interesting like corollary to the way that this hybrid, as you describe it, like experience is. The like cooking off of a recipe online is very, very similar, because you're being guided digitally, but you have your hands in the dough, making it into something real.
So most of these workshops have been relatively small groups, but I noticed that you have also done them on Zoom, so that there is a collective experience as well as the sort of guided, like in the bath level experience. What's happening on Zoom? Are people talking and chatting, or is it very sort of silent in that channel?
Well, so there's kind of different ways to do it. There's the sort of the global experience, which is open to anybody. In fact, so the next one of these that I'm doing is on February 13th. And I've done, I think this is maybe going to be the 5th one, maybe, including my birthday. And that's just like open to anybody to come, but it's, at the date and time when I choose, and that may not be convenient for everybody. So then there's other ways to do it, which is to basically host your own. And for that, I've created like a whole kit that basically all you need to do is just like invite the people you want to invite. You get a guided video, and all you really have to do is just like share screen, press play, and it guides you and your group through everything. And in terms of your question of how people are interacting, like in the Zoom, on the global one, there isn't really a lot of like interaction between the people that are participating, in large part because they don't necessarily all know each other. It's not necessarily a social like reason that they're coming. They're coming really for the experience of essentially being able to justify setting aside time for self-care for sure.
Right.
But for the self-hosted ones, like the host your own ones, there's definitely, because that's like, people, I've done that for people, like I said, moms and sisters across the world, and group, like holiday parties. So that kind of environment, people know each other.
Right.
They want to be able to have some time to chit chat. Like you can also pause it, pause the video, and connect with people. There's a lot more kind of leeway there because there is sort of like a built-in social component to that because you're doing it with people you know. So it's just varies based on the context.
Makes sense. So if you're like the head of people or HR at your company and you wanted to do this for, a whole group of employees, for example, you can create a custom event page that they would log into. And then there's a whole like ingredients list and it guides them, I see, through the process long before they ever get to the sort of virtual event that they're going to.
Yeah, I mean, and as far as being a host of the like in the host your own spa, there's very little you have to do. It's really just like you're the designated person that shares the screen. So because all you really have to do is just press play and the thing runs itself and guides you and all of your guests through everything that you need to have a very relaxing hour.
This sounds huge for appreciation gifts, like teachers and secretaries and first responders and all of the caregivers who are so fried after this past year. I feel like giving these kinds of nourishing and wellness focused gifts, it lets people know that you care, and it can bond people even if they don't necessarily want to get in the bath together and have a whole mask and everything. I guess there's different layers to this experience, right? Not the bath is a whole separate subsect versus doing a mask and something that's more like in your cozy onesie or PJs kind of approach, right?
For sure. So the bath is actually kind of where the next place that I'm going to take this is going to go. And primarily because I've just had so many people that have done the spa in the bath. And so what I've basically been doing with this whole thing from the very beginning is kind of just following where it leads. So I've had a bunch of people that now, especially people that have done it multiple times, when they know what the itinerary is going to be, I've had people that are like, all right, I'm going to do this next one in the bath. And that really points me towards like, this is kind of the next step of where it can go and where people want it to go. Obviously not everybody has a bath. Not everybody likes a bath. So there's definitely going to be still the option to do it however you want. This is kind of just expanding it to incorporate that, this aspect for people who do want to do it in the bath.
I'm so impressed with how you have packaged an experience without saying it's about my products or I have to ship it to you in order for you to do it. Like almost every experience design package we've seen out there kind of, puts a specific box in front of you and is very prescriptive. And you've done something that is very open-ended and is based in natural items generally, which I love personally, learning how to like use a honey mask normally, right? It sounds like your process has evolved quite a bit over the course of this quarantine. I'm curious if you could speak to how this has evolved your approach to experience design, and especially in this time of disconnected isolation, what do you think we're discovering about ourselves through these shared processes?
Oh, that's so interesting. So, I mean, I'm still in the process of figuring out where this is all leading. Like, I'm just, like I said, I'm following where it takes me. But what I've realized is that the spa itself, this whole idea has, where it came from, is so for basically all of 2019, which I can't believe isn't even last year anymore, but basically in 2019, I was, I had a talk that I was giving on this design framework that I call health-centered design. And the idea was really about looking at, it's very fashionable to talk about like design thinking, and how do we bring design thinking into all these organizations? And this is especially prevalent in the healthcare space. There's a lot of like, how do we bring design thinking into healthcare? And one of the things that I realized is that like a lot of the conventions of that come out of sort of mainstream design are, what I realized was that they were kind of suspect. If you look at the UX maturity pyramid, the kind of like the Maslow's hierarchy of design values, there's useful, usable, desirable, delightful. And these are all kind of intended to get people to like keep using a product and watching it and clicking it and engaging it and refreshing it. And from the point of view of where the space that I'm designing and the kind of products that I'm designing, if I've gotten a doctor to spend more time on site, I failed. Like, that's not what I'm actually trying to do. That's less time that they're spending with a patient. So what I'm trying to do is, it's all about really helping people get things done in the products that I'm designing. And what I realized was that the values from kind of the mainstream design values weren't helping me do my job better and weren't helping me make better product and design decisions. And so instead, I started looking at an alternative design values language. And I looked, by virtue, I was working in healthcare, and also I have this interest, like a personal interest in this space. And so I looked at design values that can be taken from the space of care, of healing, of healthcare, and how can they be applied to design. And so I had a whole like alternate design framework, design values framework for for a different maturity pyramid. So it was from useful to responsible, from usable to pain reducing, from desirable to empowering, and from delightful to dignifying. And I was traveling around, I was giving this talk, and I almost think of it like I kind of radicalized myself, so that I was already like thinking about this alternate way of designing experiences, of designing products. And so much of what I've brought into the design of the Spa X Home is really about all of these things. I've heard the pressure point massage. I've heard from a lot of people that, things like they'll message me afterwards, like, my neck feels better than it has in months. Or, I've had people actually message me that, they felt a migraine coming on, and doing the pressure point massage actually helped kind of stem that from happening. And so just so many of these kind of values from that I was already talking about, how do we bring these values into design? Like, I ended up bringing those values into design. So to your question of like where it's going, I mean, this is all that I recognize sort of after the fact. Like, I did my birthday, and then people wanted more. And then as it was becoming more and more of like a standardized process, then I started to realize, okay, I see the connection between everything I was thinking about before and what I'm doing now. But it was all very sort of like a very spontaneous sort of like emergence out of a space of thinking about that stuff.
Well, I have been just amazed at how you've put it all together. So, hi, this is Evo again, for those of you who joined us late. This is Jenka here. I'm going to point this way correctly. My camera does the backwards, forwards. And And we've been talking about Spa X Home and this mixed physical with digital shared experience that can be enjoyed at home, and how Jenka went from designing in the wellness and health space as a human-centered. You come from both UX, but also some interaction design. Is that correct, Jenka? How did you? Can you tell me just a little bit of how you came into working in health and UX?
Yeah, this is quite a story. So we know each other from a long, long time ago when I was actually working in music festivals. And, that is very much its own kind of experience design, especially the kind of festivals that I was working on. And I was a marketing director for a company called the Do Lab, and working in marketing, I had a bunch of clients that would kind of be sent my way, and in 2015, I had somebody that was sent a client my way that they made healthcare EHR, which stands for electronic health record software, for physical therapy practices. And I had, at the time, another client of mine, I was making, augmented reality apps for like a soda company. So I had never, ever thought about healthcare ever before. And this client just got sent my way. And, it was a kind of an epiphany that I had, that I was doing they needed an app for their patients. And I was realizing that I was doing something that, somebody opens up this app that I'm working on, and if I've done my job right, afterwards, they're in a little bit less pain. And I was like, well, how could I ever go back to like selling AR apps for soda? Like this is incomparable. So basically, after that first client, I really realized that what I wanted to be doing was, if I was going to be bringing my skills to something, I really wanted it to be in healthcare. And pretty much by the end of that year, I started working at Athena Health.
I love how you wove together the transformational experience of a physical event shared with other people, with the accessibility of being able to do it on a mobile phone or use Zoom or whatever shared platform is going to work for that. Being able to feel like we're in the same environment. You've brought all of that sort of big playfulness and the intimacy together in something that people can really, do for $15 next week. So if they want to do it for a ticket next week, this is the website you go to, spaxhome.com, correct? You can buy tickets and participate. And so that's going to be a shared experience similar to what you described on Zoom. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is, the next one of these Spa X Home events that it appears have been doing. I don't have any particular set cadence for like how frequently I do them, but it's really kind of when I feel like the mood strikes me as, okay, this feels like a time that would be a good time to get people together. The past one of these that I did was for the winter solstice. And the one before that was for Rosh Hashanah, or I call it the Rosh Hashanah Spa. The next one is on February 13th. And the theme of this is really, I wanted to do something that was themed around wholeness, kind of as like a rebuke of all of the sort of messaging that happens around the time of Valentine's Day, which is so much of it is a message of incompleteness. Like, you are incomplete unless somebody else does XYZ thing for you, or you are incomplete without that person doing that thing, or even things that have like very authentic sentiment behind them become kind of like these superficial performative displays. So, what better time to do something radically different then celebrate wholeness instead.
Well, I absolutely love how you have figured out how to make it a package that pretty much anyone, if you can get together a few dollars or invite a few friends, can make that happen. And I love the ease of it and the focus on natural products, especially because I don't like to use a lot of weird skincare products. And I found this to be extremely it was easy to fit into my lifestyle, and it didn't require any sort of, beyond going into finding my oils and deciding how I might want to do an aromatherapy experience on top. Thank you. I
Yeah.
thank you for putting this together and for helping us understand a little bit of how you have created Spock's Home. And I'm going to put that up one more time for folks who are curious about how to check it out. You can go to the website, and there is an option to do it just as a me time, or to do it with a group. So you can sign up by yourself if you want to do sort of the Valentine's ritual. It sounds like is open to, you don't have to have someone else to do it with, right? You can
Totally.
just kind of jump in.
There's going to be a bunch of people doing it, so you'll have plenty of excuse to have something on your calendar to just take care of yourself.
Perfect. Well, thank you for inspiring the rest of us to take care of ourselves.
I love it. I love it.
I'm Evo at Playable Agency. You can find more at Light Lodges or at Playable Agency on YouTube if you're looking for tutorials more on virtual or hybrid experiences and events. You can also check out my Substack at playability.substack.com. And if you're curious to check out what Jenka's been working on, it's spaxhome.com. So thank you so much. This has been a blast, and I hope we get to see each other on the other side in a physical place, whether that's East Coast, West Coast, somewhere in between. I look forward to it.
I would love that.
Take care of yourself, and let's catch up again, hopefully when Spock's Home is known by everyone around the world as an amazing opportunity. Have a great day.
Thank you. See ya. Bye.